What we have on tap today here is some Husqvarna action. I got the 562 XP intake, and I'm studying it. This is basically, obviously, this is where your filter goes, but this is basically the area of the air, or the restriction, or maybe not. But this is where your air obviously is coming into the carburetor. You know, your carburetor would be sitting here, your filter would be sitting here. And this works out to, I just measured it with a scale, calipers. I just rounded it up to 750 just to make it easy. It's actually probably a little smaller, and it varies too. It's not uniform, you know. It's smaller a little bit over here, larger over there. But at 750, you end up with 0.4418 square inches, okay? And then you contrast that with the Rowdy pipe. Now this is one of the versions I used of the Rowdy pipe. It's a shorter version, okay? And it does make a difference how long you make this pipe. You can make the pipe curl up. You can make the outlets shoot out different angles, and it all makes a little difference. People don't, there's people out here that don't even think these work. That's one, that's one thing. Well, all I can say is, if you don't believe it, scoop one up from somebody, or go to Dino Joe's. He's got these pipes on his channel, and he shows them working. So you can actually, change the output of the engine with these pipes. Not drastically, but noticeably. Now the problem is your length, you're limited to where you can build. You put a pipe way out here and your dog's end here, it's just not going to work. So these are a compromise. But anyways, got off into the weeds there. This is basically enough area here, and then this bolts up just where that exhaust is not laboring to get out at all. And if you do the measurements on this, I came out with 956, or excuse me, 1.125 by 850, which comes out to 0.956 square inches. So I'll show you the calculations here. Oh, there go the cats. We're fighting now. WWF cat. So you can see, and you can actually see it visually. There's your intake. There's your exhaust. Now there's an intake down here, but that's for the straddle ports. So what I could do is I'd have to study this a little bit more. Maybe I could open this up a little bit, but it seems that Husqvarna, if you wanted more power, because of the way their system is set up, in other words, you got the two bolts that bolt into the, that hold the carb and everything on to the cylinder. There's a bend here. There's like an L. Okay? So there's really no way to come off the back like you can with the stihl. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. So you're pretty much stuck with this configuration. Now, what you could do, and this isn't a 562 carburetor. This is just a carburetor, a Chinese carburetor that I'm just using for demonstration purposes here. What you could do, notice the toothbrush here holding the throttle open. I don't know if you can see in here, but in here, down in here, is your Venturi. So you have, I don't know how well this is picking up. Let me get a flashlight here. You'll be able to see it better. or not. Oh, there you go. You can see it. You can see the diameter. That diameter in the center is your Venturi. And then you have the smooth diameter here. I don't know if that's showing up for you or not. I can see it. And that center portion is where you'd want to bore out on your lathe. Okay, you basically have to take the carburetor apart. You don't have to use a lathe, but if you've got a fixture already made up, basically you just use these bolt holes. These two bolt holes here. Bolt up your lathe. All this will be gone. This will be gone. And you got to take out the little brass piece right there. Put it in there, indicate it in, and then bore it out. And there you go. I mean, is it going to do anything? Of course it is. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. As far as the steel goes, the steel, like on my little zipper 241 here, instead of having, you know, like on the Husqvarna, where you have the intake like this, the filter sits up here, the steel you can come off the back. And now with this machined adapter that I machined, and then you epoxy to the holder there, now you can go ahead and throw on your K&N filter or whatever the heck you want on there. Now, obviously you have the cover is on. Obviously you have the filter sticking out the back. So it doesn't bother me. I've never had a problem with it. Some guys don't like it, which is fine. Hey, but it does make a big difference, and it's a lot easier to do the steels to get more air into them. You know, this is the choke point right now. I've got the later version Rowdy pipe. This is one of the earlier versions. I've got that chain on there, and then I've got this intake here. Okay? And she picked up with that max flow, that little strip I remember I showed you in another video, she picked up quite a bit over the filter. Well, I can't do on this Husqvarna what I can do on a steel because of this. Because this is so close. I mean, it's a brilliant design, but about the only thing I would really do at this point with that is to, like I said, bore the carburetor. That would give you more. You know, you just measure the Venturi, and you can go try, I don't know, 15, 20% larger. Now, some guys are going to say, well, don't you need a new choke shaft? Because no. You're just taking the Venturi, the center part of the carburetor, where the fuel gets sucked in. Well, isn't that going to change because it's bigger? Yeah, but you're going to get more fuel and air. I mean, like I said, you cannot make more power without getting more air through the motor. And right now on this 562, I'm hung up at the air portion of getting more air in here. So now I was on Instagram, and then I was also on a net there, and I contacted the West Coast Saw because he actually has a foam filter and a machined component for the 572 XP that fits under the hood. In other words, where the screw is, where you'd put your, where you tighten down the filter, he's got a machined piece that screws down to that, holds down, and then you put your filter on that and tighten it on that, which I think is pretty cool. But I did ask if he was planning on doing that for the 562, because, you know, something like that, a foam filter. I mean, you even with these winter filters here, you know, this is your flock filter. This is the one I would recommend running. But just to test for performance, this shows an improvement over this. And if you had an oiled foam filter, a small filter that would go on here, I'm very confident that you'd pick up quite a bit on this saw. So, unfortunately, I don't have the manufacturing capability here to do that. All I could do is I could make a homemade one, is just cut this out. Like I said before, you cut some of this out and just use some foam filter element on there. You'd have to make something that goes over it, like a sock or whatever, and then just screw this back onto the saw. It's possible to do something like that. That's what I might end up doing is eating one of these filters and trying to do something like that. Even if I have to come up with a way, a more permanent way. But see, you really want something that you can put on and you can take off. I mean, I can easily just go ahead and epoxy the filter on there, but then when you want to clean it, well, I mean, you can make anything work. And as an experiment, I know it would pick up. But another thing I want to talk about too is, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, some of these books, there's some good information. I got this here, 2-stroke engine maintenance by Mr. Dempsey. Mr. Robinson with the motorcycle tuning, 2-stroke. There's some computer, I mean, there's some knowledge in here. Then you got the old Alexander Graham Bell. I got a couple more laying around. And, you know, a lot of guys poo-poo this. Oh, it don't have nothing to do with chainsaws. It's all about piped engines, blah, blah, blah. Well, hey, I don't know. I mean, some of these guys got some pretty good pedigrees. And just for informational purposes, you know, sometimes you read and something unlocks, or you get an idea from these books. Then an idea that you may never come up with on your own. So I think anybody saying that, you know, this is garbage or it's useless, I think they're a fool. Personally, that's my opinion. Now, does this book here really apply to chainsaws? I mean, are they telling... Well, no. It's 2-stroke performance tuning for piped engines. I agree with you. But a lot of the theory, a lot of the formulas, a lot of, you know... And that's the thing. I mean, you can go pretty deep with this stuff if you have software and whatnot. I mean, is it going to be dead nuts? No. But, you know, a lot of the calculations you don't have to do by hand anymore. You can, you know, there's software